So here we are with the DevPro 14. I don't think it's called the DevPro anymore. There's some stuff going on with the name. I'm not too sure about that. Don't really care too much. But I'm here to give you my 10 cents on this product right here. Well, let's go ahead and get to it. So the first thing I noticed about the DevPro, and this is the 4-jet, as you can see, 4-jet, had leaky check valves, or so it didn't. I thought it didn't even have check valves. I would set it like this against the wall or against my van or whatever, come back and there'd be a huge puddle of water at the bottom. And I bought some 1/2-inch extension check valves, which is unnecessary. And when I took the jets off, I found that there are check valves in them, but they were barely hand tight. I pulled them out with my fingers and I put some Teflon on them, just rounded 1.5 times, and I stuck them back in there, tightened them down with a screwdriver like they're supposed to be, and put the jets back in, and I haven't had any leaks out of it since. So whoever put this one together, they're not putting it together properly. All the parts are there, but they're doing a really crappy job of putting it together. Another thing, these screws here that hold the K-valve together, they were completely loose. They actually fell off. That's real obnoxious. Might want to put some thread locker or get some lock nuts or some wing nuts on there. So that's an easy fix. Most of the stuff like that is small, simple, but it's not something you should have to do within a month of owning your $900 wand. So, handle replacement. I bought the Mytee 2-inch grip. If you search for it, search for 2-inch grip. They call it a grip, not a handle. This thing is awesome. Let me show you. This is what comes on it. It comes on the DevPro. Not only are these edges really, they're pretty sharp, but it has terrible traction, metal on metal, on this, so it tends to move around a bit. I tightened up both of my nuts and bolts on each side to hold this in place, and when I tried to take it off, I literally split the nut there, the bolt in half, because it was stuck on there, which is really crappy. I don't know what caused it. It wasn't cross-threaded, but there was a lot of tension going on. Anyhow, sharp edges. It's just terrible grip. Really piece of junk. I wanted to show you something else. The distance here. So the distance that you have off of the wand that the Mytee grip offers, you can see is maybe 1.5 inches up higher, and you tend to get more control out of it, which I really like. It's also smaller, so you can wrap your hand around it more, which is really great. Shadows. Okay, so upgrade your handle. Get one of the Mytee grips if you can, or swap it for one that's covered in rubber at least, so you don't have sharp edges. The swivel. So adjusting to the swivel. This swivel is absolutely awesome. It swivels super easy. Super easy. In fact, I think it's a little too easy, because moving it around, there's no resistance there. So if you go to the side, controlling it, you can't push this over this way now when you're trying to move your wand across the carpet. It'll just turn and it gets all weird. So you gotta adjust to the swivel, but it's really useful in residential and in tight areas. Getting around corners, getting in crevices that are areas that are 8 inches wide instead of 12 or 14 in this case. You can just give it a little sideways like that. Bam, you're getting in there. So that's really cool. I really dig the swivel. Oh, I did mention sharp edges on the handle. I also wanted to mention the edge here, right around where the vacuum goes on. This is also pretty sharp. I looked inside my vacuum cup and it's cut up pretty bad from every time I shove it on here. And it's just cutting it up. So I actually want to take a grinder to this, just smooth it out a little, maybe some sandpaper would do enough, but sharp edges, I really don't like them. Not a fan of them. Also, this is the DevPro that I got from TMF as a fully loaded DevPro. And I was just looking on the website because about 2 weeks ago I submitted my review and there's no review posted there, so it's no longer on TMF as the DevPro because of whatever is going on behind the creators. But it's on there as a wand. That's what it says. Same wand, 4 jets with a bypass. The bypass, this was done by TMF store, My Big Commerce, whatever. They used a really, I would not prefer to have this valve here. I definitely prefer a Parker valve to be here. What I don't like about this bypass is that when you get hot water flowing through this heats up. This handle gets really freaking hot. So to turn it off, that's a pain in the butt. It's, you gotta grab a rag just to turn the bypass off, when they could have easily used, you know, a small rubber coated handle, or you know, the great Parker valves that I love with plastic handle would have been no problem. But they use brass, and not only does it have these sharp corners that I don't like, but it gets really hot. So, you know, details, right? But I do like having a bypass. This bypass works, it doesn't leak. It was put on there properly. So that's really good. K-valve. Covered the loose K-valve. Okay, so the glide. I really like that this glide comes standard. But I didn't like how closed it is, or was. I actually took the original glide and I took a drill and I drilled it out. So my glide looks like this. Yeah, it's not exactly the prettiest, but it's open about, I want to say, 1/16 of an inch more, and I cut out the little slots here in between. So I get a lot more flow out of my wand, airflow, better recovery. I just used a drill bit, a drill. If you decide to do something like that, be careful. Don't put a hole in your hand trying to drill it out. It can be a little bit dangerous. But I really feel like the glide should have been open a little more to allow the air to really flow through it. Initially, I want to say it was 5/16. Yeah. So this is drilled out with a 1/4 inch. I also did a 5/16, and the 5/16 was just way too big. I can show you the difference. I actually ended up buying another glide so that way I could have it smaller. Here's the 5/16 versus the 1/4. You can see I drilled out different designs here, but that's the gist of it. So what else? So this wand, the DevPro, comes with a sight window, which is really good. I thought I was going to be able to see more dirt, you know, coming through, and it's really not ideal for showing off what you're pulling out. It's good for knowing where you need to continue doing dry strokes and when you're okay. So it's a useful tool, definitely a useful tool to have, but it doesn't have the functionality I thought it would. Definitely not a necessity if you think it's really important. I wouldn't consider it high on the importance list. The 4 jets, all stainless steel. I was really glad to see that they use stainless steel on the jets and all the other parts. The K valve, stainless, which is really good to see because that means they're going to last a long time. Probably could have done stainless here, but you know, that's up to you if you want to swap that out as well. It's got a Velcro strap here, kind of holds the hot water line to the 2-inch tubing. As far as weight goes, I've got a 1.5 inch stainless one, 12-inch 2-jet with a bypass on it, and it weighs maybe a pound more than the DevPro. When I first got them, I weighed them, you know, and the DevPro is actually lighter, but it's also bulkier. And as I mentioned before, using the swivel changes things quite a bit. So you got to adjust to the size of the 2-inch if you're going from a 1.5 inch, and adjust to having a swivel head, because it really it's a little different when as far as wanding goes. I usually keep my handle off to the right because I'm wand left-handed, but with the swivel, keeping it off to the right every time I push forward or pull, I get that swivel action, so I found it's best to keep the handle in the middle actually. So that's where I keep it. It's also good when you're working with other people and they work from the left side of the wand, you know. Or if you, yeah, it's just more convenient having it in the middle anyhow. These Mytee handles, they actually clip, this bottom piece clips on, and it's super simple to put on. Really simple. I love the design of it. Love it. It's got this rubberized grip around the handle. I dig that. Definitely dig that. I like having it. What else? I think I covered about everything with it. If you're doing residential, my debate was between the PMF 15 and the DevPro. I got the DevPro. I do residential mostly, just about all residential. But if I had more open floors, I would probably shoot for the PMF 15, just because you don't need a swivel with much commercial. It's more open floor than anything. So that's about it. It wraps it up. Angles of the jets, being able to change the angles, and also having the jets, you know, hit at an angle, definitely changes the game. You know, with a 2-jet stainless wand, they're shooting straight down into the carpet. I'm getting better dry times with this due to better airflow, and my jets aren't shooting straight into the carpet. I was running my 2-jet at 300 psi. I run this one at 4 because I can. I don't have to change it when I pre-spray it, and I want to pre-spray at 400. The adjustable jets, though, you can, you know, angle them how you want, which is really great. I love having that. I believe the PMF has the same feature. It's really good to have. And there's no need to put extensions on these jets. I wanted the 4-jet, not the 6-jet, due to the fact that 6-jet is too much flow for me. These came with a 2 flow each, so you have 8 flow on the DevPro. That, like I said, I got from TMF, so that's just what you can expect. I wanted to put you know, 1.5 jets on this to bring it down to a 6 flow, or 1 jets to 4 flow, because I have a small machine. I run a 1533, so I don't have a big blower. I don't have a lot of heat. I've got a single cylinder 15 horsepower engine, so I don't get as much heat as most of you guys out there. And running this, I could keep pretty good heat. I wouldn't say I saw a huge drop in heat whenever I went from 4 flow on a 2-jet to 8 flow on a 4-jet. You know, so if you're considering that, don't worry about it. 8 flow is good. It's good. And the vacuum, even with a smaller machine like mine, I'm getting more airflow, significantly more airflow through a 2-inch tube versus that 1.5 inch. So it's definitely a huge upgrade. So whenever you get it, just do a couple of things for yourself. Tighten these on, put some thread locker on them, get some lock nuts, something, so that way you're not losing your K valve in the middle of your job. pull the jets off, pull the check valve out of there, put a little bit of Teflon, just a little bit of Teflon on it, stick it back in, use a screwdriver, tighten it in. You don't need to kill it, just needs to be tight. And then put your jet back on it. And then if you want to drill yours out, your glide, I highly recommend it. Get a lot better airflow out of it, and that was actually, I recall watching a video where they measured airflow out of maybe 4 different wands, and the DevPro was the lowest, and I really think it's due to the standard glide that comes with it that is just too closed. It needs to be open more. What I love about this glide is it is perfectly fitted for this wand, so you have absolutely no air leaks whatsoever. Taking it off, if you go to take it off at any point, I use a block of wood, put it right here on the side, and actually smack it. You can smack this or take a hammer to this and tap it and it'll pop the end off. If you're going to try to pull this off with your hands, you better have some tough hands. Swivel's really nice. I haven't taken this apart or had to do any maintenance on the swivel. I don't look forward to it, so I don't want to mess with it, but I don't think I'm going to have to for a long time. See how easy it just swivels. Laying it down something I haven't covered. So you're cleaning, and you decide you want to lay the wand down for a minute. Now normally, I like to lay my wand down sideways so it doesn't suffocate the machine. I let the machine breathe, let the vacuum lines clear while you're, taking a break, grabbing your fellow bar or whatever you're doing. And with this one, when you set it down sideways, it wants to do this and it wants to lock down on the carpet. So, just another something you gotta adjust to whenever you set it down, whenever I set it down. I just tilt the head up and it can breathe. But if you lift it up, turn it sideways, it usually will gravitate flat. So, just something to think about, I guess, whenever you decide to lay your wand over.